Absolute pleasure to be here for the opportunity to present Diggers and Dealers 2024. Before I start, I'd just like to highlight Lyndon Brownlee and his Welcome to Country. I always think it's an absolute highlight for Diggers, and the way he presents and opens this conference every year, I think he does a fantastic job. How good is it at the Olympics at the moment, where all of the best athletes in the whole world are all in Paris striving to get a gold medal? Now, I think that's just absolutely fantastic that they're after something that's very rare and very precious. Now, according to the World Gold Council, 212,582 tonnes of gold has ever been found in the history of civilization. 1% of that gold has been produced from KCGM, just 1 kilometre away from here in the total history of the gold production. I think that's just an amazing statistic, and it shows how much gold we have at KCGM and Northern Star. Now, to kick it off, I also want to mention commodity prices. So over the last 3 years, the copper price has declined 6%. The lithium price has gone up to spectacular highs and come back and is minus 4% over that journey. The iron ore price, which is critical to this state, has gone up 5%. The gold price, largely forgotten, has gone up 32% over that time. And at Northern Star, we have a lot of gold, and it's the place to be. There's a forward-looking statement. Please feel free to read at your leisure. So Northern Star is delivering on our commitments, and I want to cover three topics of how we're delivering through this presentation on our commitments. We are delivering free cash flow, and it's growing, and I'll show you how and why. Our production growth to 2 million ounces is growing as well, and we're setting ourselves up for the future. So it's not just for 2 million ounces by FY26. We are setting ourselves up for the next leg at Northern Star. Northern Star is the ASX-listed largest gold company, and we have a lot of gold. We are one commodity. We are not mixed with copper or any byproduct credits. We're very transparent. We are gold, and that's our business. In the last 12 months, we've produced 1.62 million ounces of gold at an Australian all-in sustaining cost of $1,853 an ounce. That is less than 50% of the current gold price today. So we've got a lot of gold, and we're working in Tier 1 jurisdictions in Australia and our US operation in Alaska at Pogo. And with our 3 production centres, we have 61 million ounces of gold. That underpins the Northern Star business. And that's at a reserve price or a resource price of $2,500 an ounce. So a very conservative resource price. And along with that, we've got 21 million ounces in reserve at $2,000 Australian gold price. So that really underpins a large, big, global gold leader. So in terms of superior returns, we are focused on the superior returns of the business, and our profitable growth strategy of building out to 2 million ounces is absolutely working. In FY22, we had $1.1 billion of cash earnings, and yet to be confirmed with our financials for this year, but at FY24, we'll have $1.8 billion of cash earnings. Now, why that number is important is our dividend payout ratio is 20 to 30% of our cash earnings. So we can see that our profitable growth strategy of growing to 2 million ounces is also growing returns to the business, dividends, and along the way, we're even buying shares. So we bought 19 million shares at $8.85, a great 47% return to the existing shareholders. Now, to deliver superior returns, we absolutely have to have a great safety record. And I'm really, really happy and proud to say that we have a sector-leading safety performance at Northern Star. But we're not happy with that. We are continually trying to improve our safety performance. And as a sector, we need to make sure there are no barriers between translating good safety procedures and processes across the whole industry. It is critical for us to think of that as an absolute common goal. Our workforce at Northern Star is 4,100 people now. We add in our vital contractors, we've got 7,500 people working across the Northern Star operations. And in the last 12 months, we've given 850 of our own employees a promotion within the business. So as the business is growing, people are growing with it and getting a step forward in their career. We've also had 150 people join the mining industry, and it's vital that we keep doing this as this sector continues to grow. We have to give people that first start that we all had at some point in our career. We've also got 100 apprentices. So Northern Star has a lot of people working across the business, all for a common goal of producing gold. Last year I talked around carbon emissions, and our first major project was really kicking off the Jundee Renewable Project. And in the last couple of months, we've actually commissioned and turned on our 16 megawatt solar farm, coupled with a 12 megawatt battery, and that is our first major renewable project for Northern Star. We've got 2 of the 4 wind turbines up, so we're a couple of months away from actually having all 4 wind turbines running and 24 megawatt of wind also coming into Jundee. I'd just like to call out Steve McClare, who works on this project. He looks at this like any other capital decision and makes sure that we get lower costs, the financial discipline is there, and that it's right size for the actual project. So it's a credit to him. Up at our Yandal Production Centre, we've got Jundee. This asset is a world-class asset, and it's still a world-class asset. In the last 2 years, this has generated a net mine cash flow of $510 million after all investment and all growth. So Jundee has still plenty of life in this asset, and it's generating plenty of cash flow for the business. We've had some exploration success to the north of Jundee, and in the next 6 months we'll kick off a portal and develop across to the 200,000 ounce maiden resource we've put out for the Cook-Griffin area. So plenty of optionality for Jundee, and that's just business as usual for us at that operation. FY23, we expanded the Thunderbox process plant from 3 million tonnes to 6 million tonnes. And in the last financial year, we have milled 5.25 million tonnes. What I was really impressed about for the Thunderbox team was the last quarter they delivered 1.5 million tonnes in the quarter and hit nameplate for the first time. So the capital builds behind us at Jundee. We've been investing in Aurelia, a big open pit, and been breaking the back of the stripping there, and we've also kicked off a new Wonder underground high-grade feed into the Thunderbox process plant. You combine these, the Thunderbox and the Jundee operations, and that is building out to 600,000 ounces per annum. And with that is strong cash flow generation. Pogo was acquired in 2018, just a mere 6 years ago. This asset has had a major renovation and I would say modernisation of how this mine actually works today. FY24 was a new record for Northern Star's ownership, 279,000 ounces produced and a net mine cash flow of $231 million in the last 12 months. What was absolutely outstanding was the 91,000 ounces that they produced in Q4, which is an annualised run rate of 360,000 ounces per annum. Now we've seen it, we can't unsee it. So it's a fantastic thing to have, coupled with a 6.6 million ounce resource averaging 10 grams. So there's more optimisation to go at Pogo, and this asset will be around for a long time to come. Come on. All right, a bit closer to home, Kalgoorlie Production Centre. Just 130 k's away from Kalgoorlie is our Carosue Dam operations. The best way to think about Carosue Dam is it is a reliable and consistent production that delivers between 240 and 260,000 ounces per year. It generates very significant cash flow for Northern Star. Last 12 months it's generated $235 million of net mine cash flow, and we are developing new mines. So we've got Enterprise in the pipeline and we've also got Kena. So Carosue Dam goes a bit under the radar but generates a lot of cash for this business. In our Kalgoorlie Production Centre, we've got South Kalgoorlie, which is a high-grade operation closer to Kambalda. This operation only a few years ago didn't have a great life in front of it until we had some exploration success, and now we've got 500,000 ounces at 4.8 grams in reserve at this operation. So it's high grade, it's high margin, and we're feeding that into Kanowna Belle. It really is great to have the optionality of different things in the portfolio in the Kalgoorlie Production Centre. Now to KCGM. This asset is world class and we are growing it out to a top 5 global gold mine. We're investing in the open pit, the underground, and I'll touch on it shortly, but the mill as well. So all areas of the business at KCGM are growing. And the way to think about KCGM is it is Northern Star's growth engine. We are digging deeper. We're digging deeper in the centre of in the middle of the pit. We're digging deeper in the southern cutback of the pit, which is still shallow, and we're just starting the underground journey again at KCGM. We're mining things like Croesus, which is 85 metres from the surface. So we're expanding the underground, and it's up the top as well as at depth. So over the last few years, to get to 2 million ounces by FY26, our key lever to do that was to grow KCGM from 437,000 ounces last year to 650,000 ounces by FY26. And we're doing that because we've nearly finished mining the east wall remediation from the slip that happened in 2018. We're only a couple of months away from finishing a 4-year project that gives us unhindered access to the base of the pit with 1.1 million ounces of high-grade, low strip ratio ore. And just because we're not busy enough, we've decided to take on a mill expansion. So this is all happening in parallel to business as usual at KCGM. We're growing that operation out to 900,000 ounces by FY29. So KCGM has the scale. It is a massive operation. It has huge exploration potential, which I'll touch on shortly. It has a long mine life. I think at 2050, we stop counting. There's no point doing any more work beyond that, and we'll go back and look at it again next year when the resource and the reserves are updated. And it's very high margin. So this asset is simply amazing. It was only June last year that we announced final investment decision for the KCGM mill expansion, and that's to grow from 13 million tonne to 27 million tonne as an operation. And 12 months on, we've cleared the site where the open pit team has dug 1.1 million tonnes of rock to form all the areas like the primary crusher, and we've already poured 8,000 cubes of concrete at KCGM. The major equipment package will all be delivered in the next 6 months, either at KCGM or it's in Australia, and the project has kicked off exceptionally well. We're on track and we're on time. Now, to underpin a huge mill expansion like that, you've got to have a bit of confidence around the resource and the reserve base. And what we've seen at KCGM in only four short years of ownership is that operation has grown its resources by 66%, from 19 million ounces to 31.6 million ounces in just 4 years. The reserves have also grown out to 13 million ounces. We've done that at a discovery cost of $14 an ounce. I don't know anywhere else in the world that can find gold that cheap. In 2021, we actually cut a new portal, first one in a long, long time at KCGM, to set ourselves up for the Fimiston underground drill platform. And we've been drilling there. In 4 years, we've drilled 3,000 holes and 806 kilometres of drilling. So we've gone from Perth to Kalgoorlie, and we're back at Southern Cross. And then when we get back to Perth, we're going to turn around and we're going to keep drilling at KCGM because we keep finding a lot of gold at this operation. You see that in our resources of 9.6 million ounces in the underground resource by itself. And we're just starting the journey back to the underground at KCGM. The stockpiles that sort of go unnoticed, but 3.1 million ounces sitting on stockpile that's stranded. If we just milled that today, we would generate greater than $6 billion of net cash flow for the business. So that underpins the mill expansion. Northern Star Mining Services are doing the underground operations for us at KCGM. They have over 400 people at the operation now. We've just added 2 more jumbos. We're up to 7 jumbos at KCGM, and we're going to add another jumbo in a couple of months' time. In the last week, we've cut 2 portals at KCGM. We've already advanced those 14 metres, and it looks exceptional. So the quality of the work that NSMS do for Northern Star absolutely works for us, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So just because the geologists are finding lots of gold at KCGM, it doesn't mean that they're resting on their laurels. They've been out and around on the tenements in Kalgoorlie, and they are continuing to find gold like our recent Hercules discovery. This is only 35 kilometres from Kalgoorlie. And if you look at the drill hole hits in there of 15.9 metres at 18 grams a tonne, 35 metres at 6.5 grams per tonne. This sits on an existing mining lease. We are going to fast track this as a mine, and this will either fill Kanowna Belle or it'll go into KCGM, but the returns we see in this project already will be fantastic. And with our financial discipline, the way we think about things at Northern Star is pretty well typified in the mill expansion feasibility study. That has a post-tax IRR of 26% for the mill expansion at KCGM, and that covers all the capital to do the underground, the open pit. It is a fantastic return that we would bank every day of the week. So we look at the short term, how do we optimise blend going in on a daily basis, as well as what are we doing for the future at KCGM. Clicked over one, my last slide. All right, so our commitment at Northern Star is absolutely to create value. We are growing our returns, we're growing out to 2 million ounces, and we're on track. We have a balance sheet of $359 million net cash, $2.7 billion of liquidity in the business. We are fully funded and we're on track. Stu Tonkin leads this business, and we've got 7,500 people. So his leadership is absolutely fantastic for running such a large business at Northern Star. Geology continue to find lots of gold opportunities, and we will just continue to work the plan to add the most value for the business. And we're transitioning to higher free cash flows. Thank you for your time today.